Hi, I'm Jane Harjono, and I am going to start this YouTube channel. It's quite spontaneous. It came up in a conversation with a circus mum. So we're two mums sitting side by side watching our kids do aerials. And I was talking about my business, and she said, "Why don't you consider doing YouTube videos?" And I thought, I, I don't know. And then she proceeded to show me one of her husband's YouTube videos, and he's a hunter, and he's a graphic designer and an electronic musician. So it had beautiful production values, and it was more like a documentary, and shows you landscapes and him walking, and it's from his point of view, and sometimes he's in front of the camera with the deer that he's found and all that sort of thing. And I was like, oh, but mine's just going to be a talking head. But anyway, this is what it is, and we'll see what happens. Today I want to talk about don't tell but show, or show don't tell. And interestingly, I'm a nonfiction book coach, and this came up with one of my writers who is taking on a really ambitious format for her nonfiction book, which is about a serious topic, but she's going to do it in a really playful way, and it requires some fiction devices, and so she has to do a lot of storytelling. And we were really trying to problem solve this. What was it that was not working? And first of all, there were too many characters, and because there were so many characters in each scene, she was doing this thing called head hopping, which we can cover in another video. But because of the head hopping, she was telling the reader what each person was thinking and feeling, and it was really hard to hold all of that information in our heads. So we solved it a little bit by removing some of the number of characters, but we also started to look at showing and not telling, so that you could see the responses of people in the way that they carried themselves, or you'd see their behavior. And from that, the reader could elicit, oh, I'm in the room, I understand what's going on, I can tell this person's uncomfortable, but it doesn't have the words, Sarah felt uncomfortable, because then you're spoon feeding your reader, and that on some other level becomes frustrating. So I've got this book here I really love, Natalie Goldberg's Writing Down the Bones, and she has, all of her chapters are really short. This is what she's talking about, and I really like how she explains it, because she says, don't tell readers what to feel. So we say words and then we release them, and I've said it before, it's no longer our responsibility. We write the words, and then the feelings, they come up in the reader because of who they are, or their conditioning, or how they respond to certain situations. Show them the situation, and that feeling will awaken in them. So she also says to not talk about feelings, or to not talk about the story, or not talk about what it is that you're trying to convey. You just you need to just go straight into life, straight into the concept. So you don't write about my grandmother, or you don't write about success. You just start writing that thing. So we go straight into showing, straight into the heart of the topic, instead of dancing around the edges. And I find this really interesting. This last piece of what Natalie Goldberg says is, she says, several years ago, I wrote down a story that someone had told me. My friend said it was boring. I couldn't understand their reaction. I loved the story. What I realize now is that I wrote about the story secondhand. I didn't enter it and make friends with it. I was outside it, therefore. I couldn't take anyone else into it. So she says it doesn't mean that you can't write about something that you didn't experience firsthand, but you have to breathe life into it. Otherwise, it is twice removed, and you are not present. So the moral of the story is, when you're showing and not telling, or when you don't tell and you show, you turn up fully, and you be present in the process of your writing. And because if you're able to capture that you're in the room, that you're there, that it's happening, that you're actually right there, right then, then that will be possible for your reader to enter into the story and for their associated feelings to come up. I hope that's helpful with this whole thing that can be difficult for nonfiction writers if they're coming up to a part of their writing where they need to include a story and they're wondering why it's a bit dry or it's not really having a storytelling feeling to it. So thanks very much. This is my first YouTube video, and hopefully it's not the last.